so you finished up at Richmond. What's next for you?
So I obviously wanted to go pro. I was in talks with a couple of agents. Ended up really liking one agent, but again, being unaware and very naive to the process, wanted to take my time and kind of, talk with my parents about it and see, is this the right decision for me? Took way too long. He was like, this is a business. I have to go and sign people for my business. I wanted to take my time and basically, vet the agent, and I just wasn't that big of a player to be able to take my sweet time. So he ended up signing a player, basically similar position, similar stats and whatnot over me. So at that point I was freaking out, like, oh my gosh, I need to have an agent. Like, what can I do? So I ended up signing with somebody who wasn't the right fit for me, didn't have the right credentials that I needed to kind of get me to where I wanted to go. And, but I just like to have the title. Oh, I have an agent. Oh, my agent is, helping me do this or that. And so I ended up having to make my own highlight tape, which ended up being so beneficial because I would recommend that as a skill that any pro player should have, is being able to take their film, chop it up, make highlights of it, and then upload it to YouTube. So being able to kind of gain that knowledge and skill set in the beginning of my career versus, a few years in was just really important. But, ended up going down to IMG Academy and doing an internship down there with their marketing team. And while I was there, you had the pro players coming in for the combine, training, and just getting ready for their seasons or the draft. And I ended up getting to work out with a lot of them and connected with a pro player that played overseas in Europe. And so he kind of helped guide me and educate me on the industry and the game and what I should be doing. So I started using Eurobasket and reaching out to teams, sending my film, developing professional emails, all of that kind of stuff. So I'd spend at least 3 to 4 hours a day just writing teams and sending my film out to them. And then ended up connecting with somebody who knew my assistant coach. And just a quick little side story. My assistant coach and the director of basketball operations passed away in a hot air balloon accident the Friday before my graduation on Sunday from college. So the coach that actually ended up, she was the one that pulled me to the side after my sophomore year and was like, you can be one of the greatest. So that was a really hard moment for me because, that happened on Friday. We graduated on Sunday. So just dealing with that was really tough. But somebody that I connected with knew her and had a really good relationship with her. So he was like, hey, I came across you. Let me see if I can help you out. Because he was a coach in Europe. He was in Germany. And so he connected me to an agent and basically had a couple of talks with the agent. He was very well established, had a lot of good players, got them signed. He was like, you need to fire your agent, sign with me, I'll get you a job. So I was like, okay, done. So I ended up going through the paperwork with another friend that was at IMG Academy who was studying to be a lawyer. He was reviewing all my contract and basically found the loophole to get me out of it. I, got out of it that day. 2 days later, I signed with the agent. And then I would say a couple weeks after, it was the beginning of August, I get a call from the agent. He's like, hey, I have a job for you in Romania. You leave in a week. I was like,
okay. So this is all in between May and August?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. So then I have a couple questions I want you to fill me in on, right? So you mentioned that your agent wasn't a good fit for you, the first one. What does that mean to you now in your career? What does that mean? Not a good fit?
I would say somebody that doesn't do their due diligence on you, doesn't know your style of game, doesn't really market you or network you the way that you should be marketed and networked. He made me do a lot of things that I feel should have been an agent's job. A lot of agents, they create your highlight tapes for you.
Well, the highlight tapes and getting on Eurobasket and emailing, all the things you were, which is my other question. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm he would basically tell me that I had to be patient. And I'm like, okay, I understand that, but where are you marketing me? What are teams saying? I see players that I played against that I had better stats than, they're getting signed, they're getting job opportunities and whatnot. And, not that you should compare your journey to anybody else's, but at the same time, there's no interest at all, from any teams when I had a pretty good, senior campaign. So I would say, when I looked back on the people that he was signing, none of the players were really had the kind of caliber that I did. So it was okay, well, and you haven't really gotten any of them signed. So how good of an agent are you? And, you know, how connected are you in this community to be able to actually help me get a job? So that was kind of one of the things, because when I signed with the second agent, I saw the players that he was signing. I saw, you know, their backgrounds, their experience, and I was able to get on with the team because he had a player that was already there. So they trusted him. They already had a connection. And so he was able to get me just in the door just to help, you know, start my career off.
Got it. Okay. So there were some things you learned as well too, as part of the process, which is kind of look at their portfolio work.
Yep.
As well. So you mentioned like understanding you as a player. How would you describe your game, and how would you describe? I mean, at this point, I think you know your pitch, you know who you are, right? And so, like, what is that?
I would say I'm a 5'11" point forward. I am somebody that can create for other people, but also hit the mid-range game. I can post up smaller guards. I can shoot the outside shot. And really, I'm just somebody that has the IQ and the ability to lead to help teams win.
Boom. I like it. Okay. Got it. Okay, cool.